I never meant for anyone to see me like that. Not bleeding, not trembling, not broken. Especially not him. Not Dominic Vale. New York's most feared and most dangerously controlled mafia kingpin. But fate has a cruel sense of humor, because tonight of all nights, the one man I've spent 2 years avoiding eye contact with walked straight into my hiding place. And he saw everything I was trying to bury. But that comes later. It started 2 hours before the blood dried on my skin. The annual Vale Foundation Gala was in full swing. Glittering chandeliers, gold-lined curtains, $1,000 dresses, and politicians pretending to be human. I had planned every detail myself. Every chair placement, every lighting angle, every flower petal on every table. Event managing was my job, perfection my shield, and invisibility my survival strategy. But none of that protected me tonight. I always knew the Morozov brothers were arrogant, that they walked like the world owed them something. But I didn't know they carried cruelty like perfume, something they wore comfortably, almost proudly. Maybe I should have noticed. Maybe I should have listened to my instincts when they cornered me near the back entrance, smirking like they already owned the outcome. Come on, sweetheart, one of them purred in that too slick voice. Just a little fun. I said no. Firm, clear, loud. And the moment the word left my mouth, their smiles twisted. Then came the shove. The strike, the ripping pain in my lower ribs, the sting on my cheek, the cold concrete against my knees. I remember the metallic taste of blood mixing with the expensive perfume I sprayed hours earlier, the sound of fabric tearing, the panic in my throat, and worst of all, the knowledge that no one was coming. Not here, behind the catering trucks, behind the music, behind the laughter of the powerful who would never know a girl like me existed. But I fought back. I don't know what part of me snapped, but something wild and desperate made me wrench free long enough to crawl toward the service hall. They didn't chase me. They didn't need to. The darkness in their eyes told me they planned to find me again, soon. I staggered into a linen storage room and shut the door. My hand shook so badly I could barely turn the lock. My breath came in shallow, scared gasps. I pressed myself against the metal shelf, clutching my ribs, praying the bleeding would stop. I couldn't report it. Couldn't let anyone see. If the Morozovs wanted revenge for being rejected, they wouldn't hesitate. They had connections, money, men. And what did I have? Just a job I desperately needed and a mother who depended on me. I whispered to myself, just 5 minutes, Elena. Calm down. Hide it. Fix your face. Go back out like nothing happened. I tried. God, I really tried. But then the handle clicked. I froze. The door opened. And towering in the dim light, filling the doorway like judgment made flesh, stood Dominic Vale. The devil in a tux. 6'2" of lethal calm wrapped in black silk. His presence sucked the air out of the room. His dark hair was slicked back in perfect command. His tailored suit hugged a broad, powerful frame built for violence. And his cold, steel gray eyes locked onto me with ruthless precision. For a moment, he said nothing. His gaze swept over me. My torn sleeve, the blood at the corner of my mouth, the bruise blooming across my cheek like a rotten flower. His jaw flexed. I swallowed hard. Mr. Vale, I'm sorry. I just needed a minute. I slipped outside. I'm fine. I swear it's nothing. His eyes narrowed, slow and deadly. Stand up. His voice was a quiet blade. I found my breath stuck in my throat. I can't. His steps were silent, but heavy with controlled fury as he approached. Stand up. When Dominic Vale gives an order, you obey. The entire city knows that. I pushed myself upright, biting back a cry as pain lanced through my ribs. He noticed immediately. He always noticed everything. His hand rose, not to grab me, but to gently tilt my chin up with 2 fingers. The warmth of his touch contrasted sharply with the cold fury in his eyes. Who did this to you? That was when the shaking got worse. Please, I whispered. It's nothing. Just a misunderstanding. His jaw clenched. Your cheek is swollen. Your ribs are injured. And you're lying to me. He stepped closer, invading every inch of my space. Try again. Tears pricked my eyes, not because of fear of him, but fear of what the Morozovs would do if this got out. I can't lose my job, I whispered. Please, just forget you saw me. His voice dropped into something far more dangerous. Elena. Just my name, spoken like a vow. Someone laid hands on what's mine to protect. My heart stuttered. What? He tilted my face gently toward the light, analyzing the injury like a man who'd seen and committed violence all his life. That split lip. He brushed his thumb near it, careful not to hurt me. Someone wore a ring. They hit you hard. My breath hitched. His gaze dropped to where I was clutching my ribs. Cracked. At least one. Maybe two. My knees buckled, but he caught me by the waist before I could fall. His touch was firm, sure, protective. Elena, he said again, his voice low. Tell me who they were. I squeezed my eyes shut. I couldn't. If I told him, blood would spill. And I didn't want that. Not because they didn't deserve it, but because I didn't want Dominic Vale to stain his hands for someone like me. I can't, I whispered. He let out a slow breath, too calm. Deadly calm. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and said a single chilling sentence. Bring the car around, and call the team. My heart dropped. Mr. Vale, please. His eyes met mine, burning with a promise I didn't understand yet. You're hurt, he said, and someone is going to answer for it. I didn't know then what he meant. Didn't know what was coming. Didn't know that within hours, 15 men would vanish from New York City. Because they hurt me. And because Dominic Vale was done pretending to be civilized. Dominic Vale didn't touch me again after that. Not harshly, not tenderly. He simply guided me out of the storage room with a hand hovering near the small of my back. Like he was afraid I might collapse if he actually laid a palm there. But even without contact, his presence was overwhelming. His silence was worse. Dominic Vale in silence meant one thing. Someone was about to bleed. We stepped into the side hallway behind the ballroom. Music drifted from the gala. Soft violins, laughter, clinking glasses. A perfect world that didn't know a storm was coming. He walked beside me like a shadow with a heartbeat. But every step he took crackled with restrained violence. Where are we going? My voice was tiny, embarrassing. He didn't look at me. To my car. I still have work. The banquet isn't. Elena. His tone cut through my sentence like a scalpel. You're leaving. Now. I swallowed. I don't have permission. You do now. Because he owned the foundation. Because he owned the building. Because he owned the entire night. A few guests passed us in the hallway, whispering greetings to him, but their smiles faded the moment they saw his face. The danger radiating from him was enough to chill the air around us. I kept my arms wrapped around myself, fingers digging into my injured ribs. When we reached the service exit, a black SUV was already waiting, engine running. Dominic's men stood outside it, broad, silent, immovable. The kind of men who disappeared problems, not solved them. One of them, Adrian, I think, opened the back door. Dominic turned to me, finally letting his gaze settle on my face again. Those steel gray eyes scanned me slowly, like every detail mattered. Get in. I took a shaky breath. Where are you taking me? Somewhere safe. But I don't need. Elena. His voice dropped. You are bleeding. I glanced down. I hadn't noticed the thin line of blood trickling from a scrape near my ribcage. My ruined blouse was sticking to it. Heat rushed to my eyes again. He noticed. Don't do that, he murmured, softer suddenly. Don't hide from me. Those words broke something inside me. I stepped into the SUV. He followed, sliding in beside me, not across from me, not in the front. Right next to me. Too close. Close enough that I could feel his warmth. As the door closed, the world outside dimmed. Silence filled the space except for the low hum of the engine. Then Dominic spoke, voice low and controlled. Tell me what they did. I blinked rapidly. It doesn't matter now. I'm safe. He turned his head slightly, studying me, his jaw tightening. You don't look safe. I hugged myself tighter. It was my fault, actually. I shouldn't have. His tone sharpened. Do not finish that sentence. I flinched. He exhaled slowly, like he was trying to regulate something dangerous inside him. His hand moved, hesitant, but then he placed it gently on my knee. It was the lightest touch, barely there, but my body froze. Elena, he said quietly, nothing that happened to you tonight was your fault. Nothing. His thumb brushed the fabric of my dress, not moving higher, just grounding me. Look at me. I couldn't. Not when he sounded like that. Not when he was being gentle. Elena, he repeated. I forced myself to meet his eyes. His voice held something raw. Tell me who hurt you. I swallowed hard. I can't. You can. No, my voice cracked. You don't understand. They're dangerous. A humorless laugh left him. More dangerous than me? He wasn't bragging. He was stating a fact. Dominic, my voice fell to a whisper. If you get involved, it'll make everything worse. For who? For me. His jaw flexed again, and something dark flickered across his eyes. Elena, he said, voice low. Someone already made things worse for you. I intend to correct that. My breath caught. He leaned slightly closer, not enough to invade, but enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. You deserve to feel safe, he murmured. You deserve to breathe without fear. No one had ever said that to me. Not once in my entire life. My chest tightened, the ache in my ribs forgotten for a moment. My eyes burned again, and I looked away, embarrassed. He watched me in silence. Then, gently, not touching the wound, he reached for the hem of my torn blouse where the fabric had stuck to dried blood. May I? He asked quietly. The question surprised me more than anything tonight. I nodded. Slowly, carefully. He lifted the fabric just enough to inspect the bruising along my ribs. His jaw turned to granite. Elena, he breathed. What they did, it wasn't minor. It looks worse than it feels, I lied. He gave me a slow, dangerous look. You're trembling. I had no response to that. He lowered the fabric back gently and sat back, fists curling on his thighs. Elena, he said, voice barely above a whisper. Tell me their names. I closed my eyes. Dominic, please. I don't want anyone to get hurt. His response was quiet and devastating. Someone already is. Before I could answer, Adrian's voice came from the front seat. Boss, we have a situation. Dominic's eyes didn't leave mine. What is it? Security footage from the loading bay, Adrian said, tapping a screen. It caught everything. My heart plummeted. Everything? My struggle? The shove? The punch? The part where I crawled away. Dominic held out his hand. Give it here. Wait, my pulse spiked. Please don't. But it was too late. Dominic watched the footage in silence. Not a blink. Not a breath. Not a twitch. Until the moment one of the Morozov brothers grabbed my arm. Something inside him snapped, quietly, invisibly, but completely. His entire posture shifted. Cold. Precise. Deadly. When the video ended, he handed the device back without a word. Adrian. Yes, sir. Get the list. Understood. I looked between them, fear spiking in my chest. What list? Dominic finally looked at me again. His voice was pure ice. The names of the 15 men connected to the Morozovs. My stomach dropped. 15. He nodded once. Every man who laid a hand on you. Every man who helped them. Every man who watched. My breath caught. Dominic, what are you going to do? His answer was soft. Too soft. What I should have done the second they touched you. The SUV turned sharply, leaving the gala behind. My pulse hammered. Dominic, I don't want blood on your hands because of me. He turned fully toward me, his eyes fierce. Elena, he murmured, brushing a knuckle along my uninjured cheek with heartbreaking gentleness. I don't get blood on my hands. He leaned closer, voice dropping into a whisper that made my stomach twist. I drown people in it. The SUV sped into the night, and I realized something terrible and beautiful in the same breath. Whatever was going to happen next, there was no stopping him. Not anymore. The farther we drove from the city lights, the quieter Dominic became. Not calm quiet. Not thoughtful quiet. This was the silence of a man assembling destruction piece by piece in his mind. I sat beside him in the SUV, clutching my hands together to keep them from shaking. My heartbeat felt too loud in the tight cabin, like it was begging him not to do something irreversible. But I already knew the truth. There was no begging that could stop Dominic Vale. Not after what he'd seen. Not after what had been done to me. My gaze drifted to him again. Jaw locked, lashes low, breathing controlled and slow, like each inhale was taming the monster inside him. Dominic, I tried again. You don't need to do this. I just need to rest. Please. Rest. His voice was quiet but sharp. You think I can let you rest while those men breathe? My stomach tightened. You don't even know if all 15 were involved. I know. He didn't look at me. Men like that don't stand by. They participate. Or they watch. Same sin. His certainty terrified me more than the attack had. This isn't justice, I whispered. It's revenge. He turned his head finally, eyes locking onto mine. Elena, he said softly, dangerously, revenge is justice. The kind the world actually obeys. I didn't know how to respond to that. Maybe there was no right way to. The SUV slowed near an underground parking entrance, a private facility I'd never seen before. Metal gates slid open automatically. Security scanners flashed blue across the windows. Adrian glanced back. Medical team is ready. Panic surged up my throat. Medical team? No, Dominic, I don't need. He leaned toward me slightly, voice dipping into softness that was more frightening than his anger. You're hurt. Stop pretending you're not. The SUV stopped. The door opened. A woman in scrubs approached, mid-30s, composed, gentle-eyed. Ms. Elena? I'm Dr. Mara. Let's get you checked. Checked. That word alone made my ribs ache more. I shook my head instinctively. I can't afford. Dominic placed a hand lightly at my back, guiding me out of the SUV. You're not paying a cent. I don't want you to. His voice firmed. Elena, let me take care of you. The words rooted me. Not the tone. Not the authority. Just those 6 simple words. Let me take care of you. No one had said that to me since my father died. No one meant it. Not until this man, this dangerous, furious, destructive man, said it like it was the only truth he lived by. Inside, the facility didn't look like a hospital. More like a high-security medical suite, designed for criminals too powerful to appear in real clinics. Dr. Mara led me into a small, warm room. Remove your blouse so I can examine the injury, she said softly. My face burned with embarrassment. It's ripped anyway, My hands trembled too much to unbutton it. Without a word, Dominic stepped behind me and gently touched the first button. Dominic, my voice broke. His fingers paused. Elena, look at me. I turned slightly, breath catching when he held my gaze. I'm not touching you to claim you, he said quietly. I'm touching you because you need help. A shaky breath escaped my lungs. He finished unbuttoning the blouse slowly, careful not to pull or tug near the wounds, then stepped back without looking lower than my collarbone. It was respectful. More than respectful. It was the first time all night I didn't feel like prey. Dr. Mara examined the bruises around my ribs, pressed gently. I hissed through my teeth. 2 fractures. 1 hairline. She scribbled notes. I'll wrap the ribcage and give you medication. I nodded, biting back tears at the throbbing pain. Then she noticed the cut at the corner of my mouth. Who did this? She asked, more to herself than to me. Before I could answer, Dominic spoke. Morozov men. Her eyes hardened. I see. When she stepped out to get supplies, I slid off the exam table carefully, hugging my arms around myself. Dominic watched me for a long moment. You should sit, he murmured. I need air, I whispered. Just for a minute. He moved closer, not touching, but looming, protective. You aren't afraid of me, he said quietly. Are you afraid of the dark? Being alone. A humorless laugh escaped me. I'm afraid of everything. But not you. His eyes softened in a way I'd never seen from him, not even in the SUV. Elena, he said, stepping close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body, you should be afraid of me. I shook my head weakly. If you wanted to hurt me, you wouldn't be doing all this. Something flickered across his face. A crack in his armor. He looked away first. Dr. Mara returned, wrapped my ribcage, applied ointment to my cheek, gave me a soft knit shirt to replace my torn blouse. When she finished, she turned to Dominic. She's stable, but she needs rest. Avoid stress, avoid strain, and definitely avoid. Her gaze flicked between us, amused. Avoid anything that raises heart rate too much. Heat shot through my face. Dominic's jaw tightened like he was fighting a reaction. When she left, an awkward quiet settled. I cleared my throat. So can I go home now? No, his answer was immediate. My head snapped up. What? You're not safe. So what? You're kidnapping me. Protecting you, he corrected calmly. You'll stay at my penthouse. Adrian will retrieve your essentials. My heart nearly stopped. Dominic, I can't just move into your... It's temporary. It's insane. It's necessary. I exhaled shakily. I can take care of myself. His expression sharpened, frustration flashing through his eyes. Elena, you just almost got... He stopped himself, chest rising harder. He wouldn't say the word, wouldn't let it form. He stepped closer, voice trembling with rage. He was clearly holding back. Those men touched you, hurt you, marked you. His hand rose but hovered near my cheek without touching. And you want me to pretend you can walk home alone? My lips parted. Dominic, he leaned in slightly, eyes burning. You have no idea what that did to me, he whispered. My breath faltered. What did it do to you? His voice dropped into something dark and tender all at once. It made me promise myself one thing. I swallowed. What? His gaze held mine, unblinking. That no man who hurt you will ever see another sunrise. My pulse tripped. He continued, softer now, dangerously soft. And that I would never let you be alone again. Not while you're bleeding. Not while you're afraid. Not while I can breathe. I didn't know if I should cry or run or fall into him. All I knew was that the monster everyone feared was looking at me like I was the only thing he'd never harm. He turned away abruptly, jaw tightening. Our team is already tracking them. The 15 men. They won't get far. I felt the blood drain from my face. Dominic, please. Don't. He faced me fully, expression unreadable. It's already done. What does that mean? It means, he said quietly, that 2 of them are already gone. My knees weakened. And by sunrise, he added, the rest will follow. Before I could speak, before I could breathe, he walked toward the exit, holding the door open for me. Elena, he murmured. Yes. Pack your things, he said. You're coming with me. And just like that, the night shifted. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was claimed by a storm that had already rearranged the world for me. The ride to Dominic's penthouse felt unreal, like the night had cracked open and swallowed me whole. The city lights blurred past, neon and gold streaks blinking across the tinted windows, but none of it felt real anymore. Dominic sat beside me in the back of the SUV again, silent, but not calm. He was restraining something, holding it down, locking it away for my sake. His phone vibrated once. He didn't check it. It vibrated again, 3 short pulses. This time he glanced at the screen. Adrian, 2 more located. Should we proceed? Dominic typed a single word. Proceed. My blood ran cold. I swallowed hard. Dominic, what does proceed mean? His eyes didn't leave the screen as he answered, voice smooth but chillingly quiet. It means justice continues. That's not justice. It is to me. I shook my head, breath catching. You can't destroy 15 lives because of me. He finally looked at me, expression unreadable. Elena, he said softly. They forfeited their lives the moment they touched you. I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. How do you argue with a man who sees violence as currency? Who pays debts in blood? The SUV slowed in front of a high-rise building with black glass and steel edges cutting into the sky. Security men stepped forward immediately. When the car door opened, a cold breeze whipped my hair across my face. Dominic's hand gently brushed it aside, not possessive, just careful. Come, he said. I followed him inside. The lobby alone looked richer than anything I'd ever stepped into. White marble floors, towering pillars, a crystal chandelier shaped like falling stars. People in tailored suits bowed slightly as Dominic passed. He didn't acknowledge them. We entered a private elevator. As the doors slid closed, I felt my chest tighten. Dominic, I said quietly, I don't belong here. He turned to me slowly. You belong exactly where I put you. That's not. Elena. His tone softened, but his eyes stayed fierce. You are safe with me. That is all that matters tonight. But what about tomorrow? What about the fallout? What about? There will be no fallout. How can you be so sure? He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a whisper meant only for me. Because no one crosses me without disappearing. A shiver ran through me, not just fear, but something deeper. Something I didn't want to name. The elevator dinged softly. His penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the entire city stretched out like a glittering kingdom. Soft golden lamps cast a warm glow across sleek black furniture. A glass staircase spiraled to a second level. The air smelled faintly of cedar and something darker. His cologne, probably. Dominic watched my reaction carefully. "Does anything hurt?" he asked. "Just my ribs," I whispered. He nodded and walked toward a cabinet near the fireplace. He returned with a soft gray blanket and wrapped it around my shoulders before I could stop him. The gesture stunned me. Gentle, silent, intentional. "You should sit," he said. I sank onto the large sofa. He sat beside me, not too close, but close enough that I felt the warmth radiating from him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he asked, "How long have you been working for the foundation?" 2 years. You never came to my office. You're intimidating." He huffed a faint laugh. "You think I don't know?" He leaned back against the sofa, watching me with unreadable eyes. "You avoid me," he said. "You're my boss." "Not a reason," he countered. "Everyone's frightened of me. You stare and look away. You run when you sense me nearby." He crept up my neck. "I didn't want to draw attention. You drew mine the day you started." My breath stopped. "What?" He looked down briefly, like he hadn't meant to reveal that much. "Dominic," I whispered. "Why me?" His jaw tightened. "I don't know. Maybe because you were quiet. Or because you treated everyone kindly. Or maybe because every time I passed you, you looked at the floor like you were afraid you weren't worth looking at." I froze. His voice lowered. "People like me, we don't see softness often. We don't see innocence. We don't see goodness." My heart hammered. "Dominic, I'm not innocent." He leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees. "Yes, you are." I swallowed hard. "You don't know me." "I know enough." His eyes softened, not the way a lover looks at someone, but the way a storm looks moments before it breaks. "Elena," he murmured, "tonight changed something for me." "Change what?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he asked quietly, "Why didn't you come to me immediately after they hurt you?" "Because you scare me." His expression didn't change, but something in his chest stilled. "Do I scare you now?" he asked. I looked at him, really looked at him. His controlled breaths, his clenched fists, his eyes burning like they carried a war he didn't want me to see. "No," I whispered. "Not anymore." He inhaled slowly. "Good." I tightened the blanket around myself, feeling suddenly too exposed. "Dominic, what's going to happen to them?" "The 15. He looked out the window, city lights reflecting in his eyes like cold fire. "It's already happening." My stomach twisted. "You can't." "I can," he said quietly. "And I will." "What will you do after?" I asked, voice trembling. "Protect you." "How?" He finally turned back to me. The intensity in his gaze made my breath catch. "I will make it known," he said softly, "that no one touches you. No one looks at you with harm in their eyes. No one breathes wrong near you." My pulse raced. "Dominic, you don't realize it yet," he whispered, "but your life changed tonight." He leaned slightly closer. "You are under my protection now." I swallowed hard. "What does that mean?" His voice dropped to a dark promise. "It means that as long as I live, no one will hurt you again." Before I could respond, a soft tone echoed from his phone on the table. He glanced at it. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in the air, something cold, final, merciless. I whispered, "What happened?" "There are 11 left," he said. The blood drained from my face. "Dominic." He lifted a hand gently, not touching, but stopping me. "Elena," he murmured, "this is not your burden. How can you say that when it's because of me?" His voice softened to a whisper that felt like a caress. "It's because of them." Silence stretched between us. Then he spoke again, low and controlled. "Get some rest. You'll stay in the guest room tonight." I hesitated. "And you?" He looked at me with a darkness that wasn't aimed at me, but born from the fire burning inside him. "I'll be working," he said quietly. "There's still a long night ahead." I understood what working meant. My stomach nodded. "Dominic, please don't become a monster because of me." He leaned close, so close my breath tangled. Elena, he whispered against the air between us. I've always been a monster. His eyes softened. But tonight, I choose to be yours. I didn't sleep. Dominic told me to rest, said I'd be safe, said tonight would end differently than it began. But how could I sleep knowing what he was doing out there in the parts of the city no sunlight ever touched? The guest room was beautiful, soft cream sheets, a massive window overlooking skyscrapers glittering like 1,000 watchful eyes, warm lights dimmed low. It was everything comfort should look like. But comfort wasn't something I could feel. Not when I knew that somewhere out there, men were dying because of me. Not when each quiet minute felt like the air was holding its breath. Not when my ribs throbbed every time I shifted, reminding me of the hands that had hurt me. I pulled the blanket up to my chin, trying to breathe through the ache in my chest. My mind kept replaying everything. The shove, the blow, the helplessness, the humiliation, and then Dominic's voice breaking through it like a blade through darkness. As long as I live, no one will hurt you again. It was insane, terrifying, beautiful in a way it shouldn't have been. After almost an hour of failing to rest, I slid out of bed carefully, clutching my ribs. The hallway outside was silent and too large. Every footstep echoed. The penthouse felt like a cathedral built for a king who didn't believe in forgiveness. Soft light glowed from under a door down the hall. Dominic's study. I hesitated before walking toward it. My breath tightened. I shouldn't interrupt him. Whatever he was doing, it wasn't meant for me. Wasn't meant for anyone gentle or breakable. But fear of being alone, fear of my thoughts, they pushed me forward. The door was slightly open. His voice drifted out, a low growl, not quite anger, not quite calm. No, make it clean. We're not sending a message. We're removing a problem. I froze. We took down 5 already. Good. That leaves 8. 8. Oh God. A moment of silence passed, then, no, not Elena. She doesn't know anything. And she's not to know. Understood. My breath hitched. My hand clasped the doorframe before I could steady myself. He was protecting me from the truth of what he was doing, from the weight of knowing every detail. He wasn't taking revenge blindly. He was orchestrating it. And he was shielding me from it. I pushed the door slightly, and it let out a faint creak. Dominic's head snapped up. Those steel gray eyes locked onto me instantly, reading everything: pain, fear, confusion, exhaustion. Every emotion I didn't want him to see. Elena. His voice softened immediately. Why aren't you resting? I stepped in slowly, clutching the blanket around myself like armor. I couldn't sleep. He set his phone down on the desk, his expression changing. The hardness melted. The violence dropped back into the shadows. The monster retreated, leaving only the man he allowed me to see. You're hurting. A little. He stood and walked toward me, slowly, like approaching something fragile. When he reached me, his hand lifted, then hesitated. May I? He whispered. I nodded. He gently touched my cheek, his thumb warm, calloused, careful against my skin. You're trembling. My voice broke embarrassingly. I just don't want to be alone. Something shifted in his expression. Not triumph, not ownership. Something softer, something human. You don't have to be. He guided me to the leather sofa in the corner of the study. When I sat, the cushions absorbed my weight like a sigh. Dominic sat beside me, not too close, but close enough to let me feel anchored. After a moment, he said quietly, You heard part of the call. I swallowed. Only a little. You think less of me now. I shook my head instantly, surprising both of us. No, I understand why you're doing it, even if I don't want you to. He exhaled, rubbing a hand over his jaw. Elena, what happened tonight? None of it should have touched you. I let a cancer grow under my watch. I let men like them walk in places I own. That's my failure. That's not true, I whispered. This isn't your fault. It is, he said, voice low. You work for me. You were on my ground, under my roof, at my event. He turned to me, eyes burning. They hurt you on my territory. My heart twisted. His anger wasn't at me. It was for me. Because of me. On behalf of me. I whispered, Dominic, I don't want you to destroy yourself over this. He gave a humorless, soft laugh. Elena, you think 8 men are going to destroy me? That's not what I meant. He leaned closer, not touching, but surrounding me with his presence. Then what did you mean? I meant, I don't want you turning into something darker because of me. His gaze softened in a way that sent a shiver through me. Elena, he murmured, I've been dark long before you came into my world. He lifted a hand, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear with breathtaking gentleness. You didn't create this side of me. You softened it. My breath caught. I don't understand. He leaned forward slightly, eyes locked on mine. Tonight, when I saw you bleeding, something in me snapped. But it wasn't the monster breaking free. It wasn't. No, he whispered. It was the part of me that still remembers what it means to feel. My heart hammered against my ribs. Dominic, he reached out and took my hand, softly, carefully, like he was afraid I might pull away. I don't feel much, he murmured. But when it comes to you, I feel too damn much. Warmth flooded my chest. My fingers curled slowly around his. We sat there in silence, his thumb brushing my knuckles, my breathing steadying, the storm inside him calming for a moment. Then his phone vibrated again. He didn't want to check it. I could see it in the way his jaw clenched, but he did. A single message. For left. Dominic closed his eyes briefly, then slipped the phone face down on the table. Are you okay? I asked. He opened his eyes and the softness dimmed slightly, replaced by a cold determination. I will be, he said, when the last of them is gone. Fear and relief twisted together inside me. Dominic, when this is over, what happens then? He held my gaze for a long moment. When this is over, he murmured, you'll be safe. Truly safe. And then, he lifted my hand to his lips, kissing my knuckles with a tenderness that made my breath falter. Then, he whispered, I'm going to tell you what I've wanted to tell you for a very long time. My heart flipped, which is, I breathed, but he only smiled, dark, soft, devastating. You'll know when the last 4 disappear. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure if I feared the future, or desperately wanted it. Dawn was still hours away when Dominic finally walked into the penthouse again. I heard the soft click of the door first, then the quiet, measured footsteps, then the silence, the heavy, dangerous silence of a man returning from a war only he could fight. I stood from the sofa immediately, blankets slipping from my shoulders. Dominic? He paused at the doorway of the study, the golden city light casting sharp lines across his face. He was still in the same suit, dark and immaculate, but something in his presence had shifted. Calmer, colder, finished. His eyes met mine and everything inside me tightened. It's done, he said. My breath caught. All of them? He stepped closer, the shadows clinging to him like quiet ghosts. 4 remained. Now none do. 100 emotions warred inside me, fear, relief, confusion, guilt, something dangerously like gratitude. Dominic, you didn't have to do that. I know. His voice was impossibly soft. I wanted to. He reached me slowly, as if afraid any sudden movement might scare me. His hand lifted, hesitant, then touched my cheek so delicately it broke something inside me. Does it hurt? He whispered. Only a little. His thumb brushed the uninjured side of my face. Not anymore. We stood there for a moment, just breathing the same air, until I finally whispered the question burning in my chest. Dominic, what happens now? He looked at me like he was memorizing every detail of my face. Now, he murmured, you stop being afraid. I'm not afraid of you. I know, he said quietly. That's the only thing keeping me sane tonight. My heart twisted. Dominic, why me? His expression finally cracked, just a fraction. You want the truth? I nodded. He stepped closer, his breath brushing my forehead, his voice breaking open. Because I've been watching you hold yourself together for 2 years. Watching you shrink to survive. Watching you pretend you were invisible so no one could hurt you. He exhaled shakily. But I saw you. I saw everything. My chest tightened painfully. Dominic? And tonight, he continued, voice raw. When those men put their hands on you, something inside me broke. He gently touched the edge of the bandage wrapped around my ribs. I am who I am, Elena. I don't know softness. I don't know restraint. I don't know how to love in normal ways. My breath froze. But I know this, he whispered. If anyone else had found you tonight, anyone who isn't me, you would have bled more, suffered more, and I would have burned the city to the ground. Tears blurred my vision. I hated crying, but I couldn't stop. Dominic, you can't tie your life to mine like this. I'm nobody. I'm just. Don't, he snapped, but not at me. At the words. At the idea. He grabbed my face gently, forcing me to meet his eyes. Elena, don't ever say you're nothing. Not again. My lips trembled. Then what am I to you? For a moment, he didn't speak. Then he whispered, slowly, as if choosing each word with painful precision. You are the one thing in this world I refuse to lose. My knees nearly gave out. He caught me instantly, arms wrapping around me. Careful, protective, controlled power holding me like something precious. He pulled back slightly, brushing away a tear with his thumb. Come with me, he murmured. Where? He didn't answer. He took my hand and led me through the penthouse, up the glass staircase, to a private rooftop terrace overlooking the city. The cold air hit my skin, but his hand never left mine. Sunrise was still far, but the horizon glowed faint purple. Dominic stepped behind me, hands resting lightly on my shoulders, not a cage, not a claim. A presence. Elena, he said quietly, I can't change what I am. I can't undo what I've done. But I need you to know something. I turned to him slowly. His expression was stripped bare, vulnerability buried under layers of danger. You are safe with me, he said. Not because I took out 15 men. Not because I have power. But because I choose you. My heart stopped. Choose me for what? For this, he whispered. He lifted a hand to my cheek, brushing a stray tear with the back of his fingers. Then he leaned down, slowly, giving me every second to pull away. But I didn't. When his lips touched mine, it was nothing like the darkness that clung to him. It was soft, warm, terrifying in its tenderness. A kiss that didn't demand anything. A kiss that apologized for the whole world. A kiss that said he'd burn everything before he ever let me feel alone again. When he pulled away, my heart was a trembling mess. Dominic, I breathed. What does this mean for us? He pressed his forehead to mine. It means you don't run anymore, he whispered. You don't hide. Not from me. Not from anyone. His fingers slid gently down my arms, stopping at my waist, careful of my injury. And it means, he said softly, that if anyone ever tries to hurt you again, they disappear before you can even bleed. My breath caught at the raw finality in his voice. Dominic, are you sure about this? About me? His eyes softened in a way I'd never seen. Not deadly, not calculated, not cold. Just real. Elena, he murmured. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The city stretched below us like a kingdom he ruled alone. But when he wrapped his arms around me, resting his chin softly on my head, I realized something that terrified me and comforted me in equal measure. The most dangerous man in New York didn't want power tonight. He wanted me. And for the first time since the attack, for the first time in years, I felt safe. Truly, impossibly, dangerously safe. In the arms of the monster who would destroy the world just to keep me breathing.